Welcome to Millionaire University. Hope so happy to have you here today and cannot wait to talk about how we can turn our pretty websites into high functioning, high converting websites. So thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, we're going to dive right in to the subject matter because I know people are probably dying to know as there's so many people, first of all, let me say that hold back in their businesses because they don't have their website done yet. And
Yes.
there's like part of me that thinks, "Oh my gosh, like it's not that big of a deal. Just put the stuff up there, just do your thing." And then the other part of me that knows websites can literally be the living, breathing, converting machine for your business. So, tell me a little bit about how you narrowed in on that problem and what a little bit of your background is that led you to be like, you know what, this needs to be solved. People need to level up their websites.
Yes. I approach websites as the hub of your marketing system. And you should have a marketing system, not just do marketing. But everything comes back to your website. So it's if you think about it as this is your buddy, your partner that can attract leads 24/7, convert leads 24/7. And that must, for me, that's a huge relief because it's like, oh, I don't have to do all the work all the time. Um,
Yeah.
but to do that, you need a few things in place, like have a website. And that does not mean 10 bazillion pages and like all the things and all the things. If you're just starting out, or if you've been getting by, like you've been doing pretty well without an actual website, but you know it's past the time to have one, the
Hmm.
basic thing, you can have a one pager. Like you need something that is yours, is not a social media profile. It's not, um, you know, random, like link tree type of thing. Like it's
Hmm.
something that you own, is at your domain, which is super important, and that it answers a few questions. And some of those questions are: one, who are you serving? That's number one, because if someone comes to your website, they need to know right away, I'm in the right place. So it needs to be
Yeah.
really obvious. And then the next question is, what do you do? How do you serve these people? So that needs to be crystal clear as well. And then so someone comes to your website, okay, I think I'm in the right place. Let me look a little bit more. Oh, this sounds interesting. This sounds like something I need. Or I was just thinking about this, or someone just told me I need to do this. So all of that needs to be right there on your homepage. If you are doing a one page website, well, your homepage is your whole website. So everything needs to be there and needs to be super clear. Your messaging needs to match with the people that you serve, like how they talk, the language they use. You need to incorporate that into the language, the words that you use to describe your business and how you help people. And then you need a way to collect their information. So get some emails or name an email or name, email, and phone number. Those are the
Hmm.
basics. If you've got that covered, you're starting at a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. I want to jump to the second thing that you said, which is the words need to match what your people are saying, what they're thinking. Sometimes I think this can get tricky because we put a lot of generic messaging on our websites.
Mhm.
So, what do you have any like recommendations of how you can make that copy really stand out aside from hire a great copywriter? But like any way that you can do, like, do you conduct market research into the audience? Are you assuming people are coming in already knowing from social media land, like how they're speaking to their people? Because I know this can, in my opinion, it can really make or break a website. It can be like, oh, another person who does mindset, another person who does marketing, right? So,
Right.
like, what are your recommendations on that?
Yeah, so you need to do a little bit of research. So
Hmm.
spy on your people basically. You need to, because even though you might know, you might think, "Oh, I know my audience, I know my market, I know my clients. I don't need to do any Yes, you do. You need to do
Hmm.
research. It doesn't matter how well you think you know your folks, you're gonna find surprises if you look. So that means go online wherever they hang out, whether that's in Facebook groups, whether it's on LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever. Go where you know your people are, and if you don't know, you need to find out so you can go and see like what they're saying. If you already
Hmm.
have a community built, then that's great because you can just see what they're saying, like what they're talking about, what problems they're raising, what wins they've had. Like you can use that. But either way, you need to do a little bit of investigative research and note down not just what they're talking about, but how they're talking about. What are the words that they're using? Because how
Mm,
you describe something might not be how they describe something. And you can be fairly certain that if you've noticed that many people within your audience, they use the same or very, very similar type of descriptions or just words to mean something, even if that's not the most accurate way to describe a service or problem or a challenge, that's what they're using. So, if
mhm,
that's what they're talking about, they're also using the same terms and phrases to search, whether they're using Google search or they're using AI search, and that's what they're going to be posting about. So, you need to note what those are and use those on your website,
mm,
all throughout all of your marketing, but especially on your website. Because if you are a coach for maybe women in midlife, then when someone of that description lands on your website, however they got to your website, they should see right away, coach for women in midlife or some
mhm,
descriptor. They need to know right away that you are specifically for them. You're not just any coach. And that's going to kind of catch their attention. And then you can say, oh, are you, struggling with this challenge? Or are you, experiencing these things that women in midlife experience? They'll be like, yes. Yes, I am actually. That too.
yeah,
So they're gonna know right away, like, oh, I can trust this person. They actually understand me.
mm,
They understand what I'm dealing with.
yeah, and the more specific, the better, right? Like, we don't
Yeah.
want the blanket symptoms, like, "Are you feeling tired or sad, or is life hard?"
Is life overwhelming? It's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, for everybody.
Do you want more? I know. Well, and this is I love that you said that, like, just do basic market research, like, where are your people hanging out? What are they saying? What are the very specific words they're using? And if you can literally copy paste that onto your website, that's how you're gonna have those aha moments of like, "Oh, you're totally for me, you get me. I need to scroll more, I need to find out more." So,
Mm-hmm.
makes perfect sense. And you mentioned the next thing that every high converting website needs to have, and we need to be able to collect emails, collect data.
Yes.
So, how do you typically do this? I know we've had pop ups, we've had different things, maybe calls to action on the page. What's working now? And are there some of those things like pop ups that we should just always have? Because I accidentally grew my first email list from a pop up before I knew anything about
Accidentally.
business.
Wow.
Accidentally, 1,200 people. There you go. Did
That's
nothing with them for
amazing.
like 3 years.
But you had them.
I
You
had
had them
them.
on the list. Yes. No, that's a perfect example though. Like even if you did not have that intention, you're just like, "Oh, I have a pop-up on my website to collect emails." That's exactly what you need. Pop-ups still work, although you have to be aware that many browsers will now block them. So
Mm,
someone might have a setting, like it's just in a setting. So no matter what website they go to, they might have their browser set to block pop-ups. So you can't rely just on that, but they do still work. You
mm,
need to incorporate your like specific calls to action. So one, you need to decide what journey your clients or your potential clients will take. So where do you want them to go on your website, and what is it that you have to offer them for the different stages that they might be in? For example, um, you're going to have people that just kind of stumble across you. Like maybe they came across one of your social posts and clicked the link, ended up on your website. Or maybe they were just Googling and you have great SEO, so they found your website that way. But they don't know you, they don't know your brand. So they're coming in cold and you're like, oh, okay, I see that this coach for midlife women, I'm a midlife woman, I'm trying to figure stuff out. Okay, let me take a look around. But that's like the highest level or the you're at the
lowest
top of
level,
the
I guess.
funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the lowest level of awareness, but you're at the top of the funnel. So like they
Yeah.
don't know anything about you. So you need to have not just on your website like explaining like how you help, um how you serve and what value you provide for your clients, but also there should be something for them to kind of take away like a little snack. So that could be a typical lead magnet is, a downloadable PDF. Those still work if they're done the right way.
Mm,
And or it could be maybe you have a page where you have some video resources so they can spend some time on your site learning about whatever. Or maybe you offer things like a free clarity call, discovery call, something like that, that's not intimidating. So it's not a sales call, but it's literally like, "Hey, like, let's chat. I can answer a question in 10 or 15 minutes," and, that sort of thing. But you need
Mhm.
something for them to take away, but it's something that, 1, does not take a lot of your time and energy to create, and 2, is something that is valuable for them, valuable enough that they will give you their contact information, but not something that is too intimidating or just seems like it's way too much too soon.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like you meet someone new, you hit it off, and it's like, "Hey, I want to keep in touch. Can we exchange phone numbers?" Right?
Mhm.
But then you have other people that know you a little bit. Maybe, they've been following you for a while on social. Maybe they know of you some way. So they have some level of familiarity. So they're coming to your website. They might need something different. So you need something else for them. But again, it
Mm.
needs to be valuable enough that they want to give you their info. And it needs to be small enough and just so it's not too much, too overwhelming. So you don't need like a
Yeah.
30-page ebook. You don't need 2-hour master classes, like something small and bite size, right? But
Yeah.
but valuable. And then of course you have people that are very familiar with you. Those people are probably already on your email list, but if they're not for some reason, you need something else for them. And honestly, at that level of connection with your brand, you could just offer a free call, something like that, and that would be really enticing for them. But you need
Mm.
something. So you need to give away something very valuable just so you can collect their information, their real information, not a fake email address. And and but it's gonna offer them a mini transformation because you're gonna solve a specific problem. So if it's an ebook or a PDF download that's just like, I don't know, like how to pet your cat. That's not gonna probably be as valuable or as, enticing as something like, frustrated with keeping up with social media. Here are some done for you templates. All you need to do is switch out your name or, your brand or something like that.
Yeah.
Like something they can take action with, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, and you mentioned like when done properly. So I feel like we're shifting away from just information and people need more context or application. So you're recommending that. I mean, even in that example, like things that they can literally use right now that are going to
Mhm.
build trust and say, oh man, I got instant value from that. Because I think we're all done just like consuming information, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we're not done, we're just consuming it differently.
Yeah.
And so I think providing more of a tangible tool in terms of those freebies is going to probably convert a lot higher than just more information.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The highest converting lead magnets right now are quizzes. They're super because 'cause they're interactive. Even a
Mhm.
basic quiz is more interactive than a PDF. And then you can do some cool things with quizzes too, with the different tools available.
Oh,
And
you're
then
preaching to the quiz expert herself. Like,
see, there we
this is
go.
what I do for people, and I'm like, "You don't understand. Yes, they're fun." I just recently taught a group of influencers, and I was like, "Now this is, like, next level," I'm still encouraging them to even have an email list, They're like,
Gotcha.
"Why do I need email?" But I
Mhm.
said, "This is a little advanced," but when I started breaking down, you can email people based on how they answered that, and you can segment, and they were just like
Yes.
I mean, it kinda went over their heads, but for a lot of entrepreneurs, even they don't understand the untapped value of an interactive lead magnet that's giving instant value and giving
Yeah.
you instant data. Anyway, I had to insert that. Everybody listening knows that's my jam, so I
Well,
love hearing that from other experts.
I love that too because that's the quiz is so powerful. What I've come across is within professional services, especially, they think, oh, that's if I'm selling a product, or oh, that's if I'm like selling how like patterns on how to crochet something. Like I sell this high end service. Like how am I going to use a quiz? It's like no, 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 no. There's quizzes you can
Mm.
take it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can definitely use this as your strategy. There's a quiz because it depends. Like I have a quiz. I call it an assessment, but it's a quiz, and it's about understanding your audience, understanding, um, what are these burning questions? Like, what's something that they can't ignore? Like, they're looking for an answer, but they're not ready to take that step to actually like get on the phone with you or on a Zoom with you. So, they're still kind of feeling you out. but you offer
Mhm.
up a quiz, an assessment, or something along those lines that's like, okay, I can take this and I know because it tells me before I start that I'm going to get a specific result and I can use that result to handle this challenge that I'm dealing with. And so
Yeah.
that's really useful. And so they go through your quiz and they get their result and ideally your result will have very actionable, advice for them. And then
Mhm.
they can literally use that to handle whatever challenge that that they need handling. And those are just very a quiz is so highly converting.
Mhm.
Like, so I always recommend that. But also you can still do the traditional PDF download. It just needs to be something that is solving a problem. Like
Yeah.
it's soothing a pain point. And it doesn't you
Mhm.
just need to be careful to not overdo it. Like this is not like a course in a PDF. It's just
Right.
one small thing that that they're having problems with or they're struggling with. And it's like, well, here is a really quick solution. You just get this download and read the little, 1 page or 2 page PDF, and you can apply that to your life, your business, what have you. And that's going to really generate a lot of goodwill and good feelings because you literally are helping them and they didn't need to do anything more than give you an email address. So,
Mhm.
and now they're on your email list so you can nurture them further, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so you talked about a few different, like having different lead magnets for different levels. Are you talking about putting all of those on the website? So tell me how we would guide so they would be able to self-identify, know which freebies are for them because like you said, they're coming in at different levels of awareness, different stages of the funnel. So how do you structure that on a page?
So there's two ways. Well, okay, there's multiple ways, but there's two ways I'm going to share. One is make sure you have a resources page and that should be in your navigation. So maybe you don't call it resources, you call it something else, but that's what it is. And so that
Yeah.
way, if someone's just going through your nav bar, they can see, oh, there's resources, and maybe it's a drop down, or maybe it's just a page you click through and you see all the resources on one page. But you need that. That's like your freebie hub, right? Like that's where everything lives. But also, when someone's coming, like they're landing on your homepage, then they should see on your homepage, there should be a call to action toward the appropriate lead magnet. So most likely that's going to be the top of funnel people. That's going to be the people that don't have a lot of awareness about what you do and who you are yet. So that's where you should give some prominent real estate on your homepage for that lead magnet. And then as you scroll down, still on the homepage, you scroll down. Now, if they've invested enough to keep scrolling down your homepage, they're probably looking for more information. They might be
Mhm.
someone that needs more than whatever your top level lead magnet was. So that's a space where you can put a call to action for your second lead magnet. That's for people, that might need step two instead of step one. And then, of course, sprinkle throughout your actual copy on the page, like the text, you should be answering questions that are technically a link going to specific lead magnets. So that way,
Mm.
even if no one like leaves the home, like they only land on the homepage, they're scrolling the homepage as they're reading through your copy, as they're like seeing the images, they'll be able to self-identify. Like, oh, like you're asking a question and you're putting an answer, and in that answer, it's a link to a lead magnet. Like they can click on that link, and it keeps them within your specified journey, like the journey you want them to take on your website.
Mhm.
And and then also if maybe they land not on your homepage, maybe they came through a blog post. You're like, oh, they clicked on the link, it led them to an article that's on your site, a blog post. Well, your blog post should be interlinked with similar content on your website. That's good SEO
Mhm.
practices. But also on your blog post, if the topic you have to make sure that it makes sense. But if your lead magnet has anything to do with the topic of your blog post, you should have a call to action on that blog post for that lead magnet. Because if
Mm.
they're interested in that topic and that's why they're reading your blog post or listening to a podcast episode, then you know that they're interested in that topic. So you've got a lead magnet that's it might not be exactly the same, but it's related enough. So put a call to action there so they can click that link, click that button, and get that free resource. And then if you are interlinking your website pages properly, you will kind of have, it's kind of like telling a story. So people land however they land, like whatever page on your website. But because pages are linked properly, once they finish there, instead of leaving, because you don't want them to leave, you want them to stay on your website as long as possible. So they'll be like, oh, this sounds interesting. Let me click this link. Oh, look at that. Okay, this is a really cool article. Let me bookmark that. And then, oh, what's this link for? And then, so they're just going to be hopping around your website,
Hmm.
ideally. And you want to make sure that as they're doing that, you are revealing valuable content to them, valuable call to actions to your various resources that you have for them. So you sprinkle it
Yeah.
around, but the homepage you can kind of section off, like top of the homepage, like at least like the top half. That's your lead magnet for people that don't have a lot of awareness about you and what you do. Further down, that's for people that have a little bit more familiarity. They have a different problem or challenge to solve. And then you can even keep going and say like, hey, like, for people that already have a bit of know, like, and trust with you, they have something else. You can do all of that on a homepage, but it's also key that as people journey through your site, that you strategically are offering them valuable freebies as they go along that journey. So no
I
one
love it.
gets left behind.
Yep.
Everyone gets an offer.
Everyone has something. There's a flavor for you all. I love it. Okay, so I think sometimes this can feel daunting because hearing you talk, it's so helpful to understand these things need to connect to each other. And then it can
Mhm.
also feel like, where do I even begin? Like, this feels like a crazy map that I have to create. So, do you track or keep any kind of SOPs, like standard operating, like a framework for the website? Because I go on websites sometimes and I'm like, man, they have to have such like a good back end guide to remember to update these things or to just know when they
Mhm.
plug in a post or they do anything on social, like, and I also think that it helps to reverse engineer, right? Work
Oh, of
from the back
course.
and like know where you're going. But do you have any recommendations for that? Is it obviously you want to keep it simple, but do you do any of that? Do you kind of track like links that you
Mhm.
have on different pages? Do you know exactly what you need to update if anything changes in your business?
Oh yeah. So spreadsheets are great for this. It's
Mhm.
it's not very sexy sounding, but hey, get a spreadsheet out, baby. But no, like seriously, like every link that's on your website, like one, it's just good practice because this is not how you would submit like site links to Google. That's a whole SEO thing. But you do want to have somewhere in some document if you don't want to use spreadsheets and something else, but every single page on your website should be listed, and then what those pages link to as well.
Mm.
That's just good just so you know. So if you need to change something, like maybe you need to change um the URL and you don't want to lose whatever Google ranking you've got or search engine in general ranking you've got for that. So you need to set up what's called a 301 redirect. It's easier if you know, okay, this page links to these pages, and if I change this link, I can just, do a 301 redirect and note that
Wow.
down. So, just keep all of that just documented. But also, if you have a content map or content calendar, you're kind of doing it. I like to actually do my content calendars in a spreadsheet because of that reason. Like I can list out the topics I want to talk about. I can list out the blog posts or articles that I've already done or podcasts, however you create your content, whether it's audio or written or whatever or visual. But you have all that listed, and then you can see where your gaps are. You can see like, oh, I really should have linked these two things together because they're part one and part two, or they're the same topic. Things like that become much more clear when you've got it all mapped out.
Mm.
And I love when you said reverse engineer because that is the key. Like, go ahead into the future, think about what is the result that you want, and then you work backwards. And that way you can be
Mhm.
super strategic and you're not just creating content just for content's sake or because you're guessing thinking this might be good. It's like, no, I want a specific thing. I want people to take a specific action. How do I need to nurture them to do to take that specific action with the
Yeah.
content on my website? And if you do that, again, I mean, okay. It can be a spreadsheet. It could be a database. Like, you use Airtable or Notion. It doesn't really matter as long as you are keeping it somewhere. And then when you need to create new content, you're like, oh, I already have this and this and this. Let me create a blog post, a podcast episode, a YouTube video on this topic. And then I know because it's right here on my spreadsheet, I can link it.
Yeah. Yep. So simple, but I don't think that I don't think a lot of creators and business owners think that way. And I think content in and of itself is such a skill set that so many people are trying to acquire. We have our expertise over
Hmm.
here. And then when it comes to marketing, we just want to hire it out. But it's such simple things that we just have to incorporate and understand the buyer's journey, the people we're helping. And it can be
Yes.
really easy to just create this in a vacuum and be like, oh, here's an idea. I'll just throw that out there instead of saying, where are we headed? Like, what's our goal? What's our plan right now for this month? What's on the website? Like, what are the offers? And making sure that all of that. So I guess that actually just gave me a question. Do you do you update, like, how often are we updating the website? If you have an offer, like, do you ever recommend updating even your homepage to reflect whatever you're launching at the time, making like those tweaks? Because right now, well, this is another question I'll ask again in just a
Hmm.
minute, but just answer that one first. Like, do you ever do that or recommend it?
Yes, I do recommend it. You don't have to do it very often. So it really depends on your business and who your audience are and what your offers are. So if you have periods like where you launch things fairly frequently, so maybe like every quarter or twice a quarter, you know that you're going to be launching something new or relaunching something that you already had, you want to make sure that that's available from your homepage and in your nav bar because you don't want to bury it on the pages on your website. So you want to make sure that there's some kind of top level access on your website to those things. And if there's a drastic change, like say you've been promoting a course and that's been your signature course for years, but now you have a new one, then yeah, you should definitely update those spaces where you were prioritizing your existing course or your previous course to the new one because you want that
Mm-hmm.
fresh content there. The other thing, just for general, like if you're not much of a launcher, like maybe you're more evergreen or that's just not launching is just not your model, you still want to make sure you're updating because of not just for the user experience, which is key and that's number one, but also for being visible in search results. So
Mm-hmm.
if your website is rarely or very infrequently updated, it doesn't matter how great the content is, like you're not going to get found very easily. You're not going to rank very high. So you want to make sure that you have a consistent schedule. And it doesn't matter if it is once a day, once a week, once a month, once a quarter, as long as it is consistent. So I have
Mm-hmm.
some clients, they only like throw up a blog post literally once a quarter. That's what they can sustainably do. It's a very comprehensive blog post every time. Like they go in detail. It's great, great stuff. But because they do that very consistently, they don't see drops in traffic or drops in ranking in search because every quarter there's a new content and it's super in depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then obviously like you're promoting your content, so it's not just sitting there. And then a lot of people, I think most people are probably doing or adding new content or trying to add new content more frequently than that. So like a once a month blog post is pretty common, a once a week or once every 2 weeks. That's a pretty common frequency. As long as you can keep that up, then you should do it because the more
Yeah.
frequently you're doing it, the better it's going to be in terms of your search visibility. And that is not just traditional search engines, that's also for AI search engines. So I do recommend like making sure you create a schedule, but making sure that schedule is something you can sustainably keep up with. So
Mm.
if your goal is like, I'm going to do a blog post a week, but realistically, that's just not possible, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, don't lie to yourself. Be realistic. I like to tell
Yes.
a lot of my clients that, like, I know on paper, this sounds really nice.
Hmm.
Let's look at your actual life and let's reassess and make some tweaks. Okay, that's so helpful. And I was gonna say to the last point that we discussed, and then even just now when you said have a schedule, I'm like, there's like two freebies you alone could create right there. I think
Hmm.
hearing that tangible example, like give us the schedule, give us the reminder, give us the tool that can help us to maybe like it's like a house cleaning checklist, right? Like I've been doing
Yes.
this in our home where it's so easy to just say, "Oh, we'll do that." Eventually, and then we clean it and it's like we'll spend days cleaning instead of just
Mhm.
splitting it up. And so
Mhm.
it's so helpful to say this on these weeks we do this and these weeks we do this. Anyway, you could totally create something like that for your people. And
Yeah.
then the other thing that we talked about before, where what were we talking about? Now I've
I think
lost my train of thought. The last good thing we edit these. The last thing we talked about. Oh, like having a database of
yes.
tracking, like that would be such a great template to provide to your clients, to us listening, So there's just a little free advice for you
Yes.
after come the
Well, I
show.
do I do have that. If
Okay.
you it's actually it's a part of a funnel that I have. So basically, if you do the I offer a free website audit. If you do that and the follow-up emails to help you like understand your audit results, I do offer a keyword research and optimization bundle. And so
Mm,
basically it's a place for you. It's a spreadsheet. It's a place for you to map out everything that's on your site, how it links together, what keywords it's optimized for, you would prefer it to be optimized for. And so it's a really and then there's a second part of it where it shows you how to do some quick keyword research and then where to put them into the spreadsheet so you can kind of create a content calendar as well. It's really cool. I mean, it's the exact thing I use. So I just
nice.
like, I took literally the document that I used, the spreadsheet and Google Sheets that I use and just like erased like made a copy and erased the data. But the
Brilliant.
structure is all there because I
Yeah.
it's a lifesaver, honestly, because I'm not gonna keep up with all of that in my head. Like
No
that's
way.
no.
No. Again, let's have a reality check, right? Okay. I love it. I love that you're like, I actually already have that times 10. It's way better. And you're going to see it if you opt in, which, hello, we're practicing what we preach. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. And I think that right there, what you just said is such good advice to people if they don't have a freebie, they don't have a thing, and they heard us say, like, have an actionable tool, don't just give information. That right there is a perfect example. What are you already using? What helps your life flow better, your business flow better?
Mhm.
Just take out your own data,
Mhm.
templatize it, and give that away for free or sell that as like a low ticket tripwire.
Exactly.
Genius, genius, I love it. Okay, so can we get a little nitty-gritty into something that I didn't understand when I was like a first, budding entrepreneur, even in
Ooh,
content,
sure.
which is like top of fold. What do people need to know
Ooh,
about like
yes.
viewer behavior and what things might we be doing wrong on our website that we're not even aware of because we're not thinking like the consumer,
Yeah.
thinking like I need to build my website.
Yeah, yeah. So top of okay, so the terminology harkens back to like the olden times of the internet, but it still makes sense. So we all have different size devices. So technically, above the fold means different things based on the size of the device you're looking at a website on, right? So if you've got a
Yeah.
super giant widescreen, you're going to see way more information on a page than if you're looking on a phone or a tablet or even a smaller laptop. So,
Mhm.
but keeping all of that in mind, the most important stuff needs to go at the top because you have like a second to grab someone's attention when they land on your website. And in that
Mhm.
second, they need to one, know that they're in the right place. And then two, be curious enough to stay there, to check out, like to scroll or to click through or whatever, whatever other actions. And so that's where you need to make sure you have some text, like the copy about "Hey, you, I know you're here. I'm here for you." Like whether it's like, "Hey, architects, like I help architects do whatever," or "Hey, like, midlife career professionals, like I help midlife career professionals do whatever." Whatever it is, like that needs to be like right away, like at the top. You need
Yeah.
to obviously have your navigation up there, really clean navigation so people can understand intuitively how to navigate through your site. You also need to have some type of offer. So it could be one of your freebies. It could be just to click through to like your services page or to click through to some other page on your website. Wherever you want them to go, like everyone's buyer's journey is different. So, but keep that in mind. Like someone's landed, they've decided they're in the right place. What's the next step that they should take that you want them to take so that they can dive deeper into what you do and how you do it? And so that
Mhm.
could be a freebie, that could be check out the about page. It could be check out the services page, whatever, what have you. But there needs to be something up there, not just a
Yeah.
pretty picture. And and then
And it's like people literally engage differently. Like you don't want them to have to
yes,
work for it. If you
exactly.
don't have that navigation bar right there, like there's websites I'll go to, and if it's too much work for me, I'm gonna
Hmm.
click right off and you're gonna lose me from even seeing all the good stuff. It's same as email subject lines, right? If you have a
Yes. Oh,
crappy
yes.
subject line, I'm not even gonna read all the beautiful words that you wrote so
Right.
thoughtfully. If you miss the
Right.
top thing, sadly we have the attention of a flea now. Like you have to be really strategic and not think like, "Oh, but the picture's so pretty, that's enough." Like both.
Right.
Have both. Have good
Yes. Have
imagery,
both.
good subject matter. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and you can have cute little things, like, there's really cool things you can do with your website, like, you can have video, like, technology has come to the point where it's not gonna slow down your website too much. I mean, okay, if done the right way, like, you can't have some heavy super heavy video file, but you can have, like, moving elements and things like that, although the other side to that is accessibility. So a lot of times the cool moving stuff that you can do is actually really bad for accessibility. So
Mm,
there's a balance there. Um, However, you need to capture attention. And if nothing else, at least have the right words. Because if you have like a so-so image or like a random stock image, but you've got the right words, at least you've got that. That's gonna like still capture people's attention. But that needs to be at the top. And
yeah.
so no matter what screen size, that needs to be visible as soon as your website loads. And then,
Mm,
you add more things. And always the hierarchy is the you want to make sure that your crystal clear message about how you help, who you help is at the top. And then all of the details and other fun things you might want to have, that's toward the bottom. So if you kind of look at your like if you took a screenshot or made a PDF of your homepage, like the full homepage, then you would have the most important stuff, the very most important stuff at the very top, and then slightly less important stuff right under that. And it just keeps going down in
mm,
levels of importance because so few people scroll all the way to the bottom. So you can't hide stuff down there. You can
yeah.
repeat. Like there's
Mhm.
you can definitely have offers and call to actions at the bottom right above your footer of your page, but those things need to also appear elsewhere higher up the page because you're most people don't scroll that far. So
Yeah.
you need to make
Do you get
sure.
dinged at all for repeating links? Like, does that affect SEO at all? Is it better for
Mm-mm.
SEO? You know how, like, sometimes you can just front load too much information? And I love that
Yeah.
you said that. Like, you want to have it repeating, but not be the first time they see the freebie or
Yeah.
the whatever. So,
Yeah.
do you recommend that too, to have repetition in the things that you're linking them to or talking about
I
just to
mean,
keep people on?
it really depends on the website and the service, honestly, but it's not going to hurt. Like, it's not going to hurt your SEO. Um, and if you have a pretty long or pretty tall homepage, meaning you have a lot of stuff on it, you do want to repeat because you're going to get people, they're invested now. Like, they started scrolling, they're reading the copy, they're looking at the images, and they're seeing your offers, but maybe they're just not ready to click. They're interested, but like, I'll come back to it." You don't want them to have to remember to scroll back up to that
Mm-hmm.
specific thing, so show it again. So they keep
Yeah.
scrolling and they'll see it again, like, "Oh, yeah, I did want that. Let me put in my name and my email real quick." So repetition helps, and you can definitely do repetition on the homepage, but that's assuming you have quite a bit of content on your homepage. If you
Mm-hmm.
have, your kind of your main message and then a little blurb about who you serve and what you do, and then that's it, there's not enough room. There's no way to repeat because you there's not enough content to kind of
Mm-hmm.
like sandwich in because it's kind of like you have some content and then you have a call to action, then you have some content and a call to action, like there's a rhythm to it. So
Yeah.
you do have to kind of tailor that to the buyer's journey, and then
Mm-hmm.
also what you want people to do on your website, because for some people they don't want them to stay on the homepage that long. They want them to go elsewhere into their site. And so those are decisions you need to consider,
Mm.
but don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in like indecision city because there's not really a wrong way. Like if you know you don't have a lot of content on your homepage, then don't worry about trying to like repeat your call to actions. Like you're good. Just
Yeah.
have the one. And if you know you have a lot of content or you're building a website and you want to have a lot of content on your homepage, then know that you have opportunities to like repeat your call to actions throughout the page and just do it. Because
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
always finesse it later, but if you don't
Mhm.
do it, then you won't reap any rewards.
Right. Yep. I love that. So, and I think that brings up an important point that it can be so easy to look at somebody else's website and say, oh, I want mine to look just like theirs. But if you take that element out, like maybe you like the aesthetic, maybe you really like the vibe or whatever. But I think sometimes, and I know I've even done this, where you'll see somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that. And you even look at the structure and you think, I'm going to copy that exact thing, but with my own messaging. And if it's not optimized for what you want your buyer to do, like if this is
Mhm.
somebody who's maybe in a totally different industry or is just you have to be thoughtful about it. You have to find what
Mhm.
is it actually that you like and where are you drawn to that and customize it, not just, you know what I'm saying? Like I think sometimes we
Yeah.
can not be thoughtful about what is the purpose of this website? Like where am I sending
Right.
people? And be a little bit more intuitive. And I was going to say earlier, this was my second question, are you seeing websites like homepages being more almost of a quasi sales page? Because I feel like that's kind of the
Mhm.
direction that I've gone to. Obviously, you said we're guiding the customer journey, but it's so much less like, here I am and all the things I do. And it's very much, this is who I help. This is who I am. Boom. Like,
Mhm.
here's what we do. Here's the process. And then, like, you're constantly being invited into that instead of just come look around and see what
Right.
we're doing.
Right. And well, it's kind of like instead of like if it's like an open house, right? You can go to an open house and it's just a set time so the door is open and you can just wander around yourself and there's no one there to like tell you about the house. Um or maybe like there's a real estate agent there, but because there's so many people they're just kind of standing around and you wander on your own. Well, versus an open house where you're being led through the house and shown all the rooms and all the details, getting all your questions answered in real time. That's the difference. So you
Mm,
want your homepage, to use that analogy, you want your homepage to be like that guided tour of your home, right? Like the guided open house, because you want to be really strategic about how much information you are revealing so you're not
mhm.
overwhelming people right away. So it's like, "Hey, welcome in. Glad to see you. Oh, are you interested in this? Are you having interest? Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Let's go over here. Here's some more information here. Okay, great. Now we're going to go over here and talk about this, and then we're going to go over here, and that can all happen on the homepage. So
Mm,
which is why it's also key to have your freebies on the homepage, because if they don't go further into your site and
yeah.
you don't have your freebies there, then no one's gonna see them. So,
Yeah,
and
and when you
I
say
mean, I was just gonna say your
sorry.
interior pages are still important, very, very
Yeah.
important, but you have to recognize that a lot of people, especially in short attention spans, short on time. So if you can answer someone's question right away, that's gonna be better than putting that question on page 3 on your website, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, well, that was kind of my question too, is when we talk about having these links on the homepage to opt in, the freebies and things like that, are we does it matter, first of all, and are we clicking a button and then it's opening that page, or are we having the opt-in form right there embedded to where they don't have to go to another page and scroll through things? Like
Yeah.
what works the
Um,
best?
well, they both work really well. It's not one is better than the other. It depends on what the offer is and the
Mm,
urgency around it. So it could be at that point in their journey on your website, on your homepage, that you want to capture information. So they click the button, a pop up pops up, and you can grab it there. And you're not taking them anywhere else. They're not getting lost in your site. So that does work really well. However, people have pop-up blockers, so it
mhm.
might not work on their browser. So you want to make sure that if that's the case, then somewhere else on your site for that same offer, there's a link or a button that takes them to the actual landing page for that offer, so that they can opt in with the form, on the page instead of in a pop-up. Um, and also, it's not that one is better than the other, but the pop-up option is more convenient because it's kind of like you're having a conversation and you're talking about something and then maybe like you brought up something and you want to find it on your phone and show them like, oh, look, this thing that I'm trying to describe to you, here it is. And you continue with the conversation versus,
Mm,
oh, you know what? I'm going to show you this thing. Let's go out of the house and down around the road. And, like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
changing. So
You're
it's
staying
nice.
anchored there. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So, but it is, I mean, like what I like to do, because what I do is, I send people to another page. So, like on my homepage, there'll be different call to actions, and you click the button, and you do go to a different page. But the reason why is because I'm asking specific questions, and those questions, if you click on a specific button, it's going to tell me where you are in the funnel. Like, are you awareness, information gathering? Are you further down the funnel? Are you ready to
Mm,
buy? And so I can tag you based on the button you clicked and send you to a specific page based on you being in that part of the funnel. So I
wow.
like to utilize sending people to different pages for that reason.
And how are you doing that if they haven't provided their email address yet? Like, how are you able to track them and tag them?
Well, if they click on the button, a specific button, one, it'll be tracked that not the person because it's just
Mm,
analytics. So I'll have the button clicks
got it.
going to a specific page. If you're on that page, then even if you have cookies turned off, like I'll at least see, I won't be able to add a cookie to your browser, but I can at least see like how many people have clicked through on that button to go to the specific
Mm,
page. But the offer on that page is in alignment with that part of the funnel. So if you decide to download something or sign up for something or book a call, then when it gets into my system, look, they booked a call. I know, like, you're tagged in my system because you couldn't book that call unless you clicked that button and went to a specific page, or
got
you
it.
couldn't have downloaded that, thing. So that way I can automatically segment as you come through my system. And it's not as
Brilliant.
complicated as it sounds,
Hmm.
but I do recommend it. I, s- I recommend it, however, for anyone that is stuck in analysis paralysis and haven't built their website, don't worry about it. Like,
Yeah,
get
it's like
the
the
website up.
frosting later.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the stuff
Bake
you
the
add
cake.
later, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
exciting, so you need to get your website built so then you can do the more advanced stuff.
Right. That applies to all business. I think sometimes we want to do like the fine tuning and all of the advanced stuff before we've even set up the basics, and it's so
Mhm,
important just to have that strong foundation and know that this is where it gets exciting because then you can really go deep and you can optimize, you can strategize instead of
mhm.
trying to do 80 different things. Like you do the one thing and then you're able to just really build upon that. So,
Yeah.
it's good sound advice for not just a website but any component of growing your business. So, love it. Hope, I know you said you had a couple resources for us. I just want to thank you for coming on, giving us some insight and information because I know that the website can feel like it's just this pretty thing we want to have done and we're
Mhm.
waiting on. And I think it's good to understand there's an importance in having a strategic website built from the end goal in mind. So thank you for sharing with us what that looks like and how we can do that. So yeah, what do you have for us? I know you mentioned a couple of resources.
Yeah, so I do have a couple resources. I think they're going to be really great if you're listening to this episode and are interested in this topic. Why else would you be listening? This can be really helpful for you. So there's two things. One, I do have a free SEO audit. So you go, it's really great. You just put in your website address or your URL, and then within seconds you have a full comprehensive SEO report, and it gives you a letter grade so we can all understand, like, A is good and F is bad. So you
Yeah.
can understand at a glance how well your website is optimized. And then it also breaks down what you're doing well, like what's optimized and what's not, like where you can improve, and tells you how to improve it. And it's all
Mm,
in layman's terms, so you don't have to worry about like, I don't know what this means. What is this term?
nice.
Like it's just no. So that's for free. And then you can find that at hopeworksdesign.com/SEO dash audit.
Okay.
The other offer I have for you, you might like even more. It's my ACE assessment. And it's a quiz, but I call it an assessment to make it sound fancier. But the ACE marketing assessment is great because what it is, it asks you, it's a short quiz, but it's going to ask you very poignant questions and then give you a result. And based on your result, it's going to tell you not just like how well your marketing is going, but it's going to show you where you can improve. And it's going to give you specific things to try, like strategies and tactics. So it's like, hey, based on the answers that you gave in this quiz, you should look into doing X, Y, and Z. And what
Mm,
I've found, like the purpose for that was to have a quick way for someone to just like understand what they need to focus on. Because like if you're not a
mhm,
marketer, it can be very overwhelming. I mean, it can be overwhelming if you are a marketer, but if you're not, it's like, okay, there's all these things to do. I'm just throwing spaghetti at a wall. Like, I don't know why things aren't working. Well, you can get a really quick answer by doing the quiz and saying, oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't be focusing on SEO right now. I probably should be focusing on my website and having some type of opt in. Or, oh, I am totally neglecting the email list that I have because I don't have any nurturing. I need to do that. And there's specific
mhm.
examples for you to try, for those different parts of your
Amazing.
marketing. So yeah, so I love it. It's really fun. I've been getting really great feedback. It's a new thing I've launched. So that is ace.hopeworksdesign.com/start. It's really fun. If you take the quiz, send me an email. Let me know how you like it.
I love it. We love a good quiz over here, right? Thank you so much. We'll link to all of that in the show notes too, you guys. If you don't want to have to type it in, we will make sure you can quickly access it. Thank you again so much, Hope. This was super enlightening, and I appreciate you opening everything up to us and sharing what we need to know to have an optimized website. You're amazing.
Awesome. Thank you. I've had so much fun.
Good. Love it.